Welcome to our Business Analysis Certificate Program Information Session. So my name is Michelle Dowling, and I'm the Program Manager for the Business Analysis Program here at UC Davis Continuing and Professional Education. And I'm really excited to tell you a little bit about our program. So just a little bit of housekeeping. Hopefully everyone is having good technical experiences right now. But if you do have any difficulties hearing me, go ahead and use the chat box on your screen. And then also, I always like to let people know I'll be doing a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, but if you have questions along the way, please go ahead and enter them, because if they're relevant to what I'm talking about, I'm happy to stop and address your questions along the way. All right, let's get started. All right, so a quick agenda of what we're going to talk about today. So first and foremost, we'll go over the details of the $100 discount that you get just for attending live. We're going to talk a little bit about the career outlook for business analysis. I'm going to play an interview that I recently did with one of our instructors. She does a really good discussion of how she got into the profession, what she looks for in her classes, and also kind of what she looks for when she hires business analysts. Then I'll go over the program details, things you'll need to know, schedule, costs, other considerations of enrollment. We'll talk a little bit about how to finance your education, because I know that's important to a lot of you. And then I'm going to finish up with a discussion of the professional associations, because for this profession, the professional associations are really key players in your experience, and I want to make sure you know everything you need to about them. All right. So I always like to start off with a poll to get to know you a little better. That'll help me tailor my presentation and make sure I cover the things you need and don't spend time on things that don't matter to you. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about how you first heard about us. We're really trying to target our marketing as well as we can, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on paper mailings and such if that's just not how people are finding us. All right, yeah, so it's looking like most of you heard about us from word of mouth or personal recommendation. That's fantastic. Oh, now it's gone up almost 60% internet. Excellent, that's great. And that's really what I'm suspecting. This particular profession, people are pretty tech savvy, and that's where you're going to turn to learn. Okay, thank you. All right, so a little more details on the discount for today. So just for attending live, you'll get $100 off your first course. And what we're going to do is we're going to follow up with an email after the webinar, and we're going to give you the details, the code you would need to use, and how you can go ahead and apply that discount. I always like to let people know that UC Davis does not allow us to people to combine discounts. So later in the presentation, I'm going to be talking about a bunch of other discounts you might be eligible for. You really just want to collect all the information and then determine which discount is best for you, since you won't be able to combine them. We'll also provide a bunch of other information in the follow-up email as well. So don't worry too much about rushing to write things down, phone numbers and emails, because we will follow up with that. So on that note, I wanted to talk a little bit about who you want to contact. So we have a pretty big team here, and the reason we do that is we want to make sure you can reach us at any given time and get the information you need, especially as a new quarter approaches. We don't want to do anything that's going to slow you down from being able to enroll on time. So we have a whole team. Student services folks are usually your first point of contact. They man the phones Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. They also have an email box, and they can answer any questions you might have about logistics. How much is the course? Where do I send the check if I'm getting special funding? What courses are being offered this term? Things like that. But if you need a little bit more counseling, the program advisors for the program are myself as the program manager, and I'm assisted by Jen Knutson, the program representative. And so Jen and I, and our phone number's up there as well, we can answer any questions that you might have about how should I enroll in the program? What order should I take the classes in? Can I substitute things? Can I apply the credit elsewhere? Things like that we can help you with. But there's really no wrong way to do it. All of this information is good, and student services would always be sure to transfer you to us if the questions got more detailed. All right. So the career outlook. So business analysis to me is one of the most fascinating careers today. And a lot of that is because it has such a high growth. Bureau of Labor Statistics is anticipating it to grow almost 14%. And that's much higher than a lot of the other occupations across industries. One thing that's a little challenging that I always like to alert people to is business analysis is a somewhat new profession, certainly in regard to titles. And so a lot of times when you're looking for jobs, it's not always going to say business analyst. It's going to say management consultant. It's going to say financial analyst, management analyst. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but so it makes it a little difficult to get really good stats. But I do know that this particular, the program that we offer training in is an area that's growing very quickly. And then the average annual income for a business analyst is about $92,000. And obviously that's going to vary around the country and the world. California tends to be on the high end. The Bay Area tends to be a little higher than Sacramento. That gives you a good sense of the viability of this profession. So another thing that sometimes can be challenging for people who suspect they want to get into business analysis is that it started out very much a player in the financial and IT industries, but it has grown tremendously. So you'll see people in any organization looking to do business re-engineering. You'll touch upon project management. Often a business analyst will work in tandem with a project management team. One thing that is very common to associate with business analysts is change management. That's why it's so popular in management consulting. But there's also an area of it that gets into data management. And generally, as the business analyst, you're going to be working with someone who's going to handle your big data, but you need to understand what kind of systems are out there to collect data, how to ask for the data, what the data elements mean, things like that. And then I just wanted to share a little bit that our research department came up with about kind of where the top states and cities for hiring a business analyst are. It does tend to be a big city type of profession. And I think that's because it's most often leveraged at large organizations, or organizations will contract with consulting firms for this service. So you are going to find, some of the best job opportunities here in California and on the East Coast, somewhat in Texas as well. All right, I want to do one more poll. I want to ask you a little bit about how familiar you are with business analysis, with the concepts, the tools. Maybe you've had to play the role of a business analyst at your job, and your title is a middle manager or a management analyst or an IT analyst. But I want to know a little bit more about what you know about the formal discipline of business analysis. All right, wow. So it's looking like the majority of you joining us today are completely new. That's fantastic. One thing we really pride ourselves on about our programs here at UC Davis is that they're designed for career changers. So we often do have people in our programs who have been asked to play a role, or maybe they've even had some workshops or classes, but we always have about 50% career changers. So it's exciting that all of you are new to the profession. So that's great. So I'm going to really talk a lot about the details. Okay, so I want to make sure to introduce you to our instructors. So we have 4 instructors, 4 courses in our program. And what I think is really important about our instructors is that they're all working professionals. So they're not professional academics. These are people who during the day work as business analysts. Now, some of them have gone on to other professions. One of our instructors is now a vice president at a big radio station in the area. Another one's focused on healthcare. But all of them are educated in business analysis. They hold certification in business analysis. 2 of our instructors are also project managers. So it shows you how much the 2 industries overlap. So that's really important. So I'm really happy today that I have an interview to share with you with Joy Beecham. She's one of our longtime business analysis instructors. She teaches what is basically the 2nd course in the program, although there's some flexibility in how the order you take things. And it's called Business Analysis Planning and Execution. It's kind of working the plan and planning the work. And this course is offered every other quarter, fall and spring. And it's one of the courses you take early on in the program. Like all of our business analysis classes, it's 4 academic units. And like everything in the program, it's completely online. So I'm going to go ahead and play that interview for you.
So I want to take a minute and talk a little bit about the profile of a business analyst. We get a lot of questions about what does it take to be a good business analyst? Am I a good candidate for the profession? Joy, can you talk a little bit about what you consider kind of the key elements of a successful business analyst?
Absolutely. So I would say first and foremost, you do need to be a people person. Despite the analyst in the title, you are not just sitting in front of a computer all day. You are, in fact, building bridges, communicating with all different types of people at different levels of an organization. And being an effective communicator is a key component, in fact, a foundational requirement to being a VA. So being able to just talk with people, again, you're oftentimes bridging difficult conversations. So being savvy enough to listen, be a very good listener as well as a very good communicator. I would also say you really do have to have a natural curiosity in terms of being able to do the analysis work. It's not going to be enough, for you to let someone, nobody's going to hand you all the answers. It's never happened to me in my career. In fact, you might get bits and pieces or you might get nothing at all. And so having a natural curiosity, being able to build, being resourceful, where can I get the information that I need? What kind of information do I need? What kind of people do I need to engage to get it? Are there things I've done in the past that someone else has done in the past that I can leverage? So being resourceful, naturally curious, a little naturally skeptical as well. Don't just accept what you get. You want to test it. And that's part of also being an analyst. I would also say that the third one is extremely important. You're often the face of change in an organization. You're the person that they see coming to them, asking them what their business process is like today, and trying to understand how it needs to transform. Some people are uncomfortable with change. Everybody isn't, but some people are. And so you may get some resistance because change can be difficult when people don't understand how that's going to impact them long term. And so it's a little bit back to your people skills, being able to alleviate some of that fear, get folks engaged in participating in something that may change the way they do their day-to-day job, but also being able to communicate the value of that change, why we're doing something, what the benefit is going to be long-term. So being comfortable talking to people who might not be comfortable with what you're trying to introduce into their work environment. And then the last one, and these are all extremely important, so the fact that this is last does not make it less important. Just being an independent thinker. You need to be a leader, and I call it a thought leader. You need to be confident that you can go out, get information, analyze it, regurgitate it back in a way that makes sense, so logically be able to explain the conclusions that you reach, the assumptions that you're making. And you're making a coherent argument about what you've learned and what it means to you and what that information then dictates should come next. It doesn't mean that people are going to always agree with you. In fact, you want some disagreement, right? Because you want people to challenge your thinking, but you need to be confident enough to get out in front and say what your analysis, the conclusions that you've reached based on analysis that you've done. And so it does take a very confident leader, as well. So I think that's also an important component.
That's great. Thank you so much, Joy.
All right, so I hope you found that a little bit helpful. So a lot of people ask us about the difference between a project manager and a business analyst because they are both players in a lot of the same things. And I always like to tell people, aside from the obvious, which is the project manager is managing the project and the business analyst is conducting business analysis, that's not helpful at all. The truth is the project manager, they're the one managing all the players and all the components of the project. But the business analyst is the one working with stakeholders. They're the one collecting requirements and developing a long-term process improvement plan. And so in a lot of large scale or complex projects, you're going to have a project team that includes a business analyst. And a lot of the business analyst's work is front-loaded. Because if you're automating or initiating a project based on mistaken understanding of what the outcome should be or what the culture is of the organization or what's obtainable, it's going to be a disaster. So it's really important. I've seen this a lot as well when organizations were automating analog operations and they would think they could just take what was on paper, like a card catalog, and create a database. Absolutely not. And this is where a business analyst would be key. They really sit down with the stakeholders, those key players in the initiative or the project who touch the process, everyone from the sponsor, which is the person funding the project, the leader, to the frontline people who are actually having to use the system. And they find out, what are the requirements? What does it need to do? What can't it do? What are the legislative implications? What's the culture here? we could create this beautiful system that no one uses because it doesn't fit the way we do business. So I find it a business analyst, it's really interesting. And that's why I think it's important that when Joy mentioned, you have to be good with people. Because not only do you have to get people to share really important information with you, you also are kind of holding their hand through the changes that are going to come. So I also get asked a lot, what is the difference between a business analysis and business analytics? And this one's really tricky because the names are so similar and yet the disciplines are very different. They sometimes work together, but they are very different. So business analysis is what we've been talking about. It's the practice of enabling change, defining needs and requirements, recommending solutions, working with stakeholders, being accountable to the sponsor, or what I think of as almost a management consultant. Whereas business analytics, which is sometimes also called data analytics or healthcare analytics, that's basically working with big data. And that's also a burgeoning profession, one we also offer here at UC Davis, but it's a completely different profession. And that's much more where you're behind the computer, analyzing data, using a lot of statistical analysis, a lot of software, not working maybe as directly with people. But as a business analyst, you will work with a data analyst because it's often, especially for large scale initiatives, it's often essential that you have all that data and information to make sure you design the best practice and system. So now let's talk a little bit about our program. So as I mentioned, all of our business analysis classes are online. We also have the curriculum designed so that you do a portfolio. We had a lot of students come to us under an old version of the program and say, you know, it was great, it was really interesting, but I'm a career changer and I'm still not prepared to go into an interview. And they say to me, well, what kind of project have you worked on? What kind of initiatives have you led? Because I just have gone to school. And so we really took this portfolio approach. So throughout the entire 4-course program, you have a case study and you take that case study through every single step in the process, developing requirements, meeting with stakeholders, doing quality control analysis. And so when you go into your interviews and when you demonstrate your capability, you can say, well, okay, I am new to the profession, but I understand how to take an initiative through every single step. I know all the elements that make up a really good really good analysis. We also, in this program, have something that's rather unique, and that is interactive live webinars. So even though the course is completely online, and you do have weekly due dates, we also have decided to bring the best of the classroom into the online experience. And we've done that by using Zoom, which is the system you're using right now, on top of our Canvas learning management system. And basically, you're sent a link, 6 o'clock on Wednesday, you log in and you get to hear from your instructor. They give a lecture, they do some exercises with your classmates, some amazing stuff we can do with the Canvas software. And you can also ask questions. So it's really, really meant to emulate what you experience in the classroom. Having said that, we also realize that a lot of people pick an online program because maybe they're in a different time zone or maybe they're have a very unpredictable work schedule. So we do record those live weekly sessions and we don't necessarily require you to attend. We highly recommend it. It's so much more useful when you do, both for you and for the class. But we know that there's weeks you're going to be on travel. There's weeks that you're going to get stuck at work. And so those will be recorded and you will be able to watch them afterwards. We also try to share those schedules with you when you're enrolling. So we really want you to approach it when you enroll just like you would a classroom class. You wouldn't sign up for a class that's offered 7 o'clock on Thursdays if you have a long-standing engagement at that time. And we want it to be the same way. So we really ask students to kind of prepare to be ready for those weekly sessions. Also like to tell people our program does align with not only the International Institute of Business Analysis, which for many years was the premier professional association, but also with the Project Management Institute. In the last few years, PMI has also got involved in the business analysis arena, and they have a different exam that they offer for journeyman business analysts to demonstrate mastery. And so we've redesigned our program so it meets both of these association requirements. And then lastly, we realize that you're here for an education, but we also realize that many of you are career changers or career advancers, and you need help in that regard. And so in addition to posting any job openings we learn about, we also have a partnership with a job placement firm called Tech Systems. And tech systems does job placement and career advising in the IT field. And so when you participate in our program, that's part of the package. You get free access to a counselor at Tech Systems to help you with your job search. All right. So, brass tacks of our program. Our program is full of choices, and sometimes this can be confusing, and this is where Jen and I come in as counselors, but I wanted to lay out kind of the different options you have so that you know. So our courses can be taken basically in 3 ways. You can take individual courses. This is the most uncommon way to do it, but occasionally we'll have someone who'll come to us and say, I started a program elsewhere, or I'm not really going to work as a business analyst. I just am asked to sometimes play that role or interact with a business analyst. So I just want to take your foundations course. I just want to get the overview. So we do allow people to take courses individually, and then that's it. They take the course that they need a la carte and walk away. But most people pursue the academic certificate, and that would mean taking all 4 courses in the program. And there's 2 ways you can do that. The first is just at your own pace. And I always recommend this to students who have a very hectic life, maybe travel a lot for work, an unpredictable work schedule, maybe a season in their work, like half the year is really busy. And under this model, you have 5 years to take all 4 classes, so plenty of time. And you basically enroll in each course one by one, when it's convenient for you. And you pay as you go. So you just pay for each course as you take it. And you do register for the certificate. So we know that you want to pursue the certificate, and we work with you and let you know, oh, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. The next course you need is coming up in the fall. Go ahead and register. And in that way, you have a lot of flexibility. Another option is something we call the fast track. So a lot of our students said, I want to be able to purchase the entire program. And I want to basically just be told, like graduate school, take this, this, and this in this order on these dates and be done with it. And what's nice about this program is because it's only 4 classes, you can complete it in 6 months. So for anyone who maybe their employer is supporting them and they want to pay for the program in one lump sum, maybe they just want to sign up and be done as quickly as possible, the fast track is a great option for you. So it's important to know if you decide you want to do the fast track program, the certificate all at once, you would want to enroll in the fast track. You wouldn't specifically enroll in foundations like someone doing it at their own pace would. You would actually on our website enroll in the business analysis certificate program fast track. And then what I do is I see you've enrolled, you've paid for all 4 courses up front, I place you in the next offerings and have a set schedule, and then I share that with you. And so the benefit of this, in addition to speed, is you get 15% off your tuition. So it's the steepest savings we offer. You finish the program in just 6 months. But once you're enrolled, you're committed to a set course plan. So if you have any changes or your life is unpredictable, you might incur fees or penalties. So I always say, really think through your next 6 months before you sign up for this option. And then the other benefit of this option is you get preferred enrollment status. So you're not going to be closed out because I'm putting you in the courses as a priority right off the bat. So you would, for example, enroll this spring, which is our next start point, and you would take 2 classes at a time because you're doing the accelerated. And you would take foundations and planning. And then in the summer, automatically I would enroll you, you'd get a reminder, and you would start with the second 2 courses in the program, and by the end of summer, you'd be done. So our next program starts on April 6th, and that's true if you're just going to take foundations or if you want to do fast track. And the courses will go the entire quarter and finish on June 26th. And then summer would start right after that, the following Monday in late June, and you would go through September. So it's a great option. You finish fast, but you really want to think about your lifestyle and which program is better for you. All right, I want to talk a little bit, having said all that, about what the time commitment is. So as I mentioned, these courses are all 4 credit units. Sometimes because they're online, people don't take them as seriously. They think it's just training. No, this is an academic college course. These courses are approved by the UC Davis Graduate School of Management. They're college level courses. I've taken these courses myself. I wouldn't say they're overly difficult, but you definitely have to put in the time and you have to be thoughtful. You have to take them seriously. You can't be doing it on your phone on the subway. You need to sit down, at a computer and really do the reading and do the exercises and submit the assignments. So I tell people it's 4 credit units. It's a 12-week quarter for this program. And I would plan on spending between 8 and 12 hours a week. So if you decide you want to do the fast track accelerated program and you're taking 2 courses per a quarter, you're going to spend about 20 hours a week. So it's like going to school at night. You're going to spend about 20 hours a week on your coursework. Now, obviously, some of you, if you have more experience, you're a real quick reader, you get your homework wired in, really disciplined, maybe you spend a little less. If you haven't been in college in a while, or this is all completely new to you, you're going to want to prepare to spend a little more. So I just find that most people in this program are successful if they plan their time. Okay, I want to do one more poll. So now that you've heard about the different ways you can do the program, I'm curious to hear what you think might work for you. Are you all in? You know you want to do the program, but you want to do it in your own schedule. Maybe the fast track is really appealing to you and you know you want to do that. Maybe you just want to take foundations right now. Maybe you don't even know what business analysis is. Your boss said, oh, you should look into that. And you just want to take one class and learn about it. Or lastly, you don't even know what the future brings. So you're going to keep the program in mind, but you don't know when you'll sign up. All right, so it looks like our poll isn't completely working correctly, but looks like the majority, about half of you, know you want to do the program, but you're thinking you want to do it at your own pace. Totally understandable. And then it also looks like about a third of you think the fast track might be a good option. That's great, especially if you're in between jobs or looking to change jobs soon. And then it's not showing, but it looks like about 17% really just can't commit right now, and that's fine. I know you're collecting information, and I'm available anytime you want to talk more about it. All right. So I want to talk with you a little bit about program costs. So the tuition for each of the courses is $1,100. Textbooks for this program are actually quite affordable. There's one textbook, the Business Analysis Body of Knowledge, that is like the Bible, and we use that in all 4 classes. And then there's a second book that's also used in all 4 classes. So in a lot of those, if you join the professional association who publishes the textbook, you can access the online version for free. So it's not going to be any more than about $100. If you do the courses at your own pace, but you know you want to pursue the certificate, you're going to want to register for the certificate and pay $125. This really helps us know that you're not just taking courses casually, that you want to pursue the certificate. You don't have to do that in advance to starting the program. It's not like graduate school. It's not an application. So I often will say to people, go ahead and enroll in the foundations class and see what you think. Make sure you want to do all 4. And then somewhere as you're in the middle of that first quarter, then go ahead and go online and enroll. If you do the fast track, the whole certificate registration fee is waived because I know automatically that you've committed to the certificate. So it's another nice perk of doing the fast track. So I do offer several discounts. So there's the fast track, that's the steepest one, 15% off. If you become a member of PMI or IIBA, which I highly recommend, and you're taking the courses at your own pace, you get 10% off every course. That's still a really good deal. And you get the VBOC for free, which is the textbook. And you have access to IIBA and PMI's, all their career resources, job postings. And I can speak for IIBA in particular because they've been in the business analysis arena the longest. I'm a member here in Sacramento. We have a great, small, but great chapter. And the first thing they do at every monthly meeting is say, all right, who's hiring? And half a dozen people stand up and talk about the jobs that they're hiring for. So that's exciting. If none of those apply to you, but you're a member of the Cal Aggie Alumni Association, you get $50 off every course. And if none of those apply to you, but you are someone who's really organized, you enroll early, you get $50 off, and then there's also a group discount. So it's a little confusing because we can't combine discounts. So you want to make sure you identify what's best for you and then leverage that and do that. And you would claim that at time of enrollment. Right. So I know that this is a significant amount of money and not everyone is getting support from their employer. So we always like to let people know we do have some options for financing your education. The best place to find this is on our website. If you click on the Student Services tab and then select Financing Your Education, we talk all about our preferred lenders, other job training funds, tons of benefits for veterans. I've had a lot of veterans do the program. Sallie Mae Smart Loans. There's a lot of options. So I encourage you to either check out the website, or if you have more questions, that's any kind of payment or funding is coordinated with Student Services. So you can just call them directly. And they have 2 staff members on their team who do nothing but help people with special funding and with loans and veterans and things like that. Okay, so I did mention I was going to talk a little bit about professional associations. So the premier association for this industry is the International Institute of Business Analysis. And what you'll want to do is join the international chapter, which is about $125 a year, and then join the local chapter for just about $35. And I believe they might even have student discounts. It's just something to check out their website and learn more about. But I really like this chapter. As I mentioned, it's not huge in the Sacramento region. They have local chapters all throughout California. But the Sacramento chapter is really committed. They have a great team of people on their board. Their meetings are really useful. In fact, they just had a meeting, a workshop where they talked all about how to sit for the professional exams. And next month, one of our instructors is the keynote speaker, and he's going to talk about how to do an interview, both an interview for a business analysis job and the finer art of interviewing stakeholders when you're collecting requirements and trying to learn how to help people. So he really talks a lot about those interpersonal skills. So those are, and anyone can attend. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. They let people join in for the workshops even before they become members. So it's a really great way to learn about what the organization offers. So I really encourage it. And if you are, I know a lot of you are career changers, so this is probably far down the road, but anyone who has heard about the CPAP exam, it's the Certified Business Analyst Professional. That is kind of the mastery, the CPA for business analysis. And if that's in your future or you think it might be, you'd want to join IBA anyway because they administer the test. All right, one last poll. So now that we talked a little bit about the professional associations in the world, I am curious, even though a lot of you are career changers, if you've never even given this a thought and don't really care, or if you know your employer or your career plans include sitting for one of the exams. So for many years, all they had was the mastery exam, the CPAP. And recently they've introduced several other minor exams to try to encourage entry-level business analysts to get certified. And like the ECBA in particular is the entry-level one. So I always like to include information about that. And you can learn all about the requirements to sit for these exams on their website. And then lastly, as I mentioned, the Project Management Institute is kind of breaking into this area. They have their own exam, a professional business analyst. So for some people who are already working as project managers, they decide to stick with PMI and they might want to sit for that exam. So it's looking like right now this is all brand new to you folks and you really just don't know, and that's absolutely fine. I just kind of like to cover my bases because we are such a diverse program and we get people from all different worlds. But just keep it in mind, know it's out there, and especially if you go into interviews and such, it's important to kind of know what they may ask about. Few entry-level positions are going to require something like a CPAP, but they want to know that you're familiar with IIBA and you know about the certification exams. Right. So I did mention already that we do have a partnership with Tech Systems, and we're also looking at a couple other job placement firms to enter into more partnerships, because we understand that, you know, we do a great job in educating you about the profession and the discipline and the tools and tricks and techniques you'll need. But we're not in the business of job placement specifically. So we really try to create these partnerships so that when you finish the program, if you are a career changer, a career advancer, you know where to get resources. Okay, so that completes my formal presentation, but I really want to know what kind of questions you have. If you don't get a chance to ask something right now, I have put my phone and email up there, and you can always follow up. You'll also be getting a personal email from Jen Knutson. I'll make sure that doesn't go to your junk folder, and you can respond to her as well. And we really just want to make sure we can answer your questions or put you in touch with the right person. All right. So let me see, I'm just checking to see if we have any questions coming in. Okay, here's a really good one. So do you have to have any business analysis experience to take this program? No, you don't. Our programs are completely open to anyone. So what I do tell people is it helps to be familiar with the concept of business. You know, occasionally I have people right out of high school and they'll say, oh, can I do your program? Well, technically, yes. But much like getting your MBA, you benefit so much more if you actually have worked in not just a private business. We also have some people from the public sector, especially in the Sacramento region, where there's a lot of government agencies that employ business analysts. Here at UC Davis, we have a whole team, a Center for Excellence, that's made up of business analysts. So it's just important you understand how organizations work. It's going to make your life a lot easier as you study the case studies and come up with examples. All right. Yeah, so how many courses are there in the fast track? So this is a really important point that sometimes I take for granted. The courses and the curriculum are exactly the same, whether you do the courses at your own pace or you do the fast track. The curriculum does not change. All that changes is how you enroll, how the courses are packaged. So the fast track also 4 courses to make up the certificate program, and you're just taking an accelerated set course plan of 2 courses, course 1 and 2, 1 quarter, course 3 and 4 the next quarter. If you were to do it your own pace, you would still take the same 4 courses, maybe not in the same order because of scheduling, but you would complete the same package. Oh yeah, there is a UC Davis staff discount. I'm going to go ahead and have Lynette, who's helping me out, just respond to you. But the policy for UC Davis staff discounts is $200 or 20%, whichever is less. And then lastly, oh yeah, do I need to know any programming or coding, using any software for this program? No, we don't use SAS or any other software. The instructors are going to talk about it because it is a great tool for business analysts. But my understanding from working with our instructors is that it's often assumed you have a team and you may use SAS or other data systems to collect data, but you're going to have someone else really getting into the nitty-gritty of the software and things like that. So we don't require to use any of those. We're going to be talking much more at a conceptual level. Oh, here's another really good question. Is there a minimum grade point average that I need to get a certificate? Yes, there is, but I have to be honest, it's really an issue in the business analyst program because people who are drawn to this program tend to be very, very disciplined and high achieving. But you do need to have a C average in your courses, in every course, to have it contribute towards a certificate. And a C is about 74% or higher. If you get lower than that and you have no interest in a certificate, you were just kind of taking a course to learn a little bit about it, that's different. But for most of our students who are pursuing a certificate, you need to have a solid C or better in all 4 of your classes. Okay, I work full time. How many classes should I take? It's really up to you, but I will say the majority of our students work full time. And so it's really totally manageable. 1 class, very manageable. 2 classes, you're really going to want to think about if you can devote those 20 hours a week. You know your lifestyle best, you know your other obligations. It is online, so there's a lot of flexibility, but you still have weekly deadlines. Yeah, when would be the next time I could start the program, someone asked. Absolutely. So this program has 2 entry points. So you can enter in the spring. We will offer the 2 entry-level classes again in the fall. And the fall for us usually starts in late September. So absolutely, if you go onto our website after enrollment closes, which is going to be around mid-April for the spring term, if you go on our website, the class will then kind of go, it'll close for enrollment, but then we put a notify me box next to the course. And I really recommend that for anyone who's looking towards the future. That way you'll get an automatic email when the course opens for enrollment again. You can also call me and I can tell you any specific dates if you want to put them on your calendar. All right. And I think that's everything. All right. Well, I encourage everyone to contact me if you have any questions afterwards. As I mentioned, you'll get an email. Look for that email from Jen. If you don't get it, call me as well. You can also just call right through Student Services and they can answer your questions or kick you up to me or Jen. And I am really excited to see you in our program. Great. Thank you so much for joining us today.